clever part. The conversation.
What's that you say? Rare had a chimp in Banjo-Kazooie named Chimpy? No, check again, you idiots! Chimpy has a tail, and it's not a monkey, like Diddy Kong!
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
I'm Jeff Onan.
And I'm Mitchell Wolfe. I knew I was third. We didn't even talk about it. I just knew.
We did it by age.
Yeah. Yeah. And also we did it in, well, I was going to say we did it in the order we're going to rank in the draft, like in ascending order.
Oh,
but
no.
I don't know why I think Mitchell's going to win. Jeff's going to win. Jeff always wins.
I
we'll
felt
see.
like I was going to
know.
win every time, and this is the time I didn't feel that way.
Well,
We'll find out. Well, what are you even talking about?
What?
Also, what is this show?
What are we doing here? Well, this is the Kongversation, and what we do here on the Kongversation, Donkey Kong Universe discussion, is we discuss even the Donkey Kong universe and what that entails. You might think it's just Donkey Kong games. You would be wrong, because it also means games that are in the same shared universe as Donkey Kong. And you might be thinking that means Super Mario, and you would be wrong some of the time. Is that a good explanation?
This is the first time on any episode of your podcast that you've tried to tell people what it is.
Yeah, it turns out it doesn't really hold up when I say it out loud, but it's okay. It's all right, because this is the third year we have done the DKU draft, which is an idea by one young Jeff Onan here. And what we did...
less young all the time.
Yeah, that's something, stay the same age. Am I right? All right.
Hey, all right.
So, this is a game that we've been playing. This is the third year where we draft DKU games. It's inspired by the NFL draft. We try to draft the best teams. It's a snake draft, like that new Emerald Rush event that's giving everybody problems. Oh boy. And then we see who wins, like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. This year, we drafted all available DKU games were on the table to be drafted, including the new ones like Donkey Kong Bonanza, Mario Kart World, and of course, Dunk Dunk!
Dunk, 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 dunk!
We love
All
Dunk
three
Dunk.
of us got Dunk Dunk.
Yeah, we fought over
We did.
Dunk Dunk,
It's
and then
fair.
we just
Yeah.
decided to be kind to each other. Nobody would draft Dunk Dunk. But please actually play Dunk Dunk. It's really fun. That isn't us being snarky about Dunk Dunk. Never take that to mean we are being snarky about Dunk Dunk. We are a pro Dunk Dunk podcast. We are a pro Dunk Dunk community. We're spreading the word about Dunk Dunk.
If people were confused about your podcast, I think they're also confused about Dunk Dunk. But there's no time, Hyle. There's just no time.
God, there's no
We have so
time.
much to get to.
Go back and listen to all the Dunk Dunk episodes we did in the past to explain to yourself how Dunk Dunk relates to Donkey Kong. I am not going to do it here. You know what? I'm not your babysitter.
Okay.
All right.
So Hyle, how do we do your podcast? Tell
Oh,
us.
shit. All right. Well, the DKU draft, we drafted all available DKU games, 5 games each. And then, as a little perk, because last year was the double draft, where we drafted DKU characters. We love characters here at DK Vine. We're like the USA Network was in the aughts. We have characters, and we love to talk about them. But this year, we did a secondary draft where we each drafted 5 worlds from DKU 3D platformers. And 2 separate drafts. Then what we did was we allowed our DK Vine patrons at dkvine.com/Patreon the opportunity to vote for which of us drafted the best team of games, the best team of worlds from 3D platformers. And we closed the results about 2 hours ago, and I have not looked at them. I just downloaded the results, converted them to a PDF, and sent them to Jeff and said, Jeff, here are the results. I did not look.
I didn't look either. I have them. They're in the envelope, but I didn't look at them because I want to talk about them before I get to know. So we will all find out together, special style.
I didn't realize you didn't look. This is so fun for me.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I didn't. I just didn't want to.
I thought of this podcast like work until now, but now it's more like fun. Now it's play.
Right. It's like the Oscars, but you make the nominees read it out loud, and then they can be disappointed at each other. So,
Oh, no.
yeah. So anyway.
Well, everyone, I didn't win.
By the way, you can find there's a video on the computer. You could use your computer, or you could go to the library. But there's this video of Steven Spielberg did like a watch party at his house of an award show for Jaws. He was still young. Remember when Jaws? He was so young. And he really thought he was hot shit, so he invited all his family and friends.
If he was really young at the time of Jaws, you might say he was young, dumb, and full of chum.
Ha! No, they were his baby teeth because he was so young. Jaws. Anyway, so he has a video that you find it on the computer or the library's computer, and he has all his family and friends, and then he loses the award, and he's real sad, and he says like, "I didn't win." Anyway, it's really sad. You should check it out. I think he's a cool guy though.
Yeah, he would turn it around in the end. It worked out for him.
It would eventually.
He made so many more Jawses after that. Good job.
And Schindler's List and Temple of Doom, the classics.
Animaniacs, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff, before we get into it, though, this is the part of the podcast where we talk about other things related to the podcast, but also plug DK Vine. For those tuning in, hoping you were going to get part 2 of the Star Fox Assault Spotlight episode, well, that's coming next time. Basically, what happened was Cameron and I were recording the Star Fox Assault Spotlight betwixt the draft episodes, but then we realized we would have to turn it into at least 2 parts. And so we're going to have this just weird rotating schedule where we go draft, Star Fox, draft, Star Fox. So apologies. You're going to hear us talk about it, but probably not today. I don't think Star Fox is going to come up at all after this. So get it out now. Whatever you want to say about Star Fox.
I like that you have 2 episodes where you're presumably saying some pretty good things about Star Fox Assault, sandwiching other episodes where we have to very coldly and calculatedly not draft Star Fox Assault.
Yeah, maybe Jeff can get into some of the psychology behind this game, because it does require us to make some out-of-the-box decisions that we wouldn't ordinarily make if it was just up to us. If we were the masters of the universe, we might choose differently. But we're trying to win the popular vote, essentially. So we have to pander a little bit. And I'll let Jeff get to that. But, of course, before we do, Jeff has to share his life advice for this episode. Because in season 14 of the Kongversation, Jeff is sharing a little fact that will, I guess, give you a life hack to better get through your day.
I don't like labeling it that. It's just called the word advice. We don't have to come up with a new word. It's just advice. Listen, before we get into it, buy the t-shirts, go to Blue Sky. We're also on patreon.com. DKVine.com/Patreon, Patreon.com/DKVine. Those were the only people who got to vote on this. Yeah. This whole thing, everything about today, it's brought to you by the patrons. So if you want to become one, you will have all the power. You'll be one of the masters of the universe, be able to make all the choices. You could choose She-Ra, I think, is what the master of the universe would choose. And I don't know. I never watched it.
Can I just say, this is bad for democracy because this is a poll tax, and that's no good. In an actual...
It's allowed now.
In an actual representative government, it's no good. But if you're trying to choose nonsense called DKU games or worlds from DKU games that 3 people on a podcast chose, I think it's fine. I think it's fine to pay to vote.
Yeah, you didn't even have to really say it. But it is, by the way, the end. It is the end of our lovely, beloved live service event here on the podcast called Jeff Month. The epic conclusion to we love live service events. Did everybody get your snake statue? Did you get a snake statue? Mitchell?
Not yet.
Did you get your?
I need to work on it. I need to put some time into it.
You have to get in the time limit there. There's only a few more time. There's only a few more time to get your snake statue. But
I only need a couple time.
There is another live service event coming to an end. The epic conclusion to Jeff Month on the Kongversation podcast. Brought to you by Jack's Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. Feed your wild side. Hyle?
Brought to you by the Peeing Sasquatch and nothing more.
Nothing more. We like that Sasquatch. He pees. He has a lot in common with Conker's Bad Fur Days. Listen, Jeff Month is over, but for any of the dedicated listeners who were able to solve the mystery, if you listen to the previous 4 episodes of Jeff Month, and in each one were able to locate and acquire the ancient golden Onan letters hidden in each of the 4 episodes, you have unlocked this bonus episode of the Kongversation podcast that you're listening to now. The other way to listen to it is to find it on the feed, on any of the podcast feed. So if you did find all the 4 hidden letters, you found the hidden episode, or the other way is if you looked it up, you just put it on Spotify. So thank you. But every Jeff-isode of this season comes with a bonus, as Hyle alluded to. I give a little bit of advice. The podcast is 14 years old, and 14-year-olds, there's so much more to learn. So here's some advice for you. Here's the one from today. It is this. 1 can of pop equals an entire conventional candy bar, which is fine. You can have a candy bar if you want, but I mean, you need to think about that if you're going to have 2 cans of pop. How many candy bars would you sit down and eat in a row, like a full-size candy bar? Are you really going to drink 4 cans of pop today? That's 4 conventional-sized entire candy bars. It's up to you. That's my advice for today.
Sobering to
I'm a
realize
Coke Zero
that.
drinker these days.
That counts as a candy bar.
But like a weird one?
Yeah, it's a weird. It's not like a normal candy bar. That's true.
It's a different
and by the
kind,
way,
I think.
while we're at it, like if you eat a Kellogg's Pop-Tart for breakfast, that counts as a candy bar. Mm-hmm. And it comes two in a bag. If you eat both of them, that's 2 candy bars. Don't even pretend that you need both. I eat one and I put the other in a Ziploc baggie. I put it in a Ziploc baggie, eat the next one tomorrow. Because if I'm going to have a candy bar, I'll save the other one for tomorrow.
Well,
it's up to you.
I guess it's better than putting Mountain Dew in a Ziploc baggie, as you've shared in the past.
Right. Listen back to all the other episodes of this 14-year-long podcast. All right. Well,
but by the way,
that's
just
all we have to say.
For the record,
Hit it,
I
Hyle.
am drinking, since Mitchell shared what he was drinking, I am drinking Polar, a premium seltzer, unflavored.
I've got a Bush Nah. It's a non-alcoholic, but I also have regular alcohol. I kind of alternate them. I always say I'm drinking non-alcohol, and then you guys listen to me, and you're like, "You're lying, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm alternating."
Wait, Hyle, it's an unflavored seltzer?
Yeah.
So it's water, it's sparkling water?
It's seltzer water, so it's extra carbonated. It burns when you swallow.
Okay.
Ooh, like a Verner's.
I wouldn't know. We don't have Verners here.
Well, that's just for deep cut fans of Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we will quickly run through sort of what is the draft, everything. But I will implore everyone who's listening to this one to please listen to the previous one 2 weeks ago. I think that this one won't make as much sense. I think that would have been episode. What was it, Hyle? Is it 1607?
No, it's not from the future, Jeff. It's episode. God.
What are we on right now, Hyle? It's 14 something?
This is episode 1412. We use production numbers that most people don't understand. They think this is just the 1,412th episode of the podcast. That's not quite true.
So what was the last one? The draft episode was
1410.
Right. So please listen to episode 1410 on podcasts. You can find it either by locating all of the secret hidden jiggies, or you go to your podcast app and it will be in the list. Otherwise, you can listen to this one either way. It's up to you. But we're going to run through what this was about very briefly.
Yeah.
But first, I would like us all, because this is a sporting event, we'd like to rise quickly for the national anthem.
Again?
No, never mind. I don't want to do the bit again. you talked me out of it. Fine, go back and listen to the other one.
Yeah, we ran that one into the ground.
I was gonna mix it up, Hyle, and sing Dr. Beat. You know Dr. Beat?
They call me Dr. Beat. Yeah.
No, that's good. It starts off just with like emergency, paging Dr. Beat, emergency, and it's not even singing. Anyway,
was that another Miami Sound Machine?
Yes, it's a Miami Sound Machine song. I thought maybe you would know it, but let's just pretend that none of this happened.
As much as I respect the work of Gloria Estefan, I think that the crosstabs of our audience knowing what the hell we're talking about at any given moment is pretty low. Even when we're talking about video games, when we start getting into pop culture that probably predates them by 30 years, I just feel old, and I'm being very self-conscious about feeling old, because when I was young and I did this, I was precocious and everybody found it charming. But now they just look at me and you're like, wow, you're even older than I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we're in our what we're talking about, we should change what it is we're talking about and talk about the draft.
Oh.
Let's talk about the draft.
Let's
talk about the draft. So we did it. We took turns picking things from the lists. First, we were talking about worlds from 3D platform games, and we all took turns picking one in a snaking order, where we reversed the picking order every other round. Then, after we all had a list of 5 3D worlds from 3D platformers, we did it all again, but this time, in a different category, we were talking about DKU video games. All DKU video games were on the table, including the new ones, with some caveats like if somebody picked one version of a game, you couldn't pick the remake of that same game. We just assumed that you picked every version of that game. You know, you got new funky mode with your Tropical Freeze. You got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC when you picked Mario Kart 8. It was all sort of nebulous in that way. You obviously could not pick Rare Replay. Rare Replay is 30 games. Yeah. That's not a game. You can't pick 30 games. So it's not real. So we did that, and we did it in snaking order, but we also had team names.
Yeah, we did.
That was pretty key to it all. We all had team names. Let's name it. Hyle, what was your team name?
Because we always have a theme with our team names. I don't know if people have picked up on the running joke.
Ooh, what episode should they listen back to? It'd be, is it 12, 20?
They can just go down the list and look for the DKU drafts. There's 2 a season, so it's fine. But I always mix in a little vulgarity with my team name because I am a bit of a pervert, and sometimes I'm a bit crass. I'm a bit crude, like Raphael, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And I picked the team name Amster Goddams because I have to take the Lord's name in vain every so often to accentuate how good my picks are.
Hyle explained it too much. Mitchell, what's your team name?
San Diego Padres.
Perfect.
That's Mitchell's joke.
My team name was the Miami Sound Machine. Miami Sound Machines from the city of Miami. That's my team name.
Yeah.
And they are pretty good.
Which city had the moist talkers?
Oh, that was Halifax, right?
Halifax. Was it?
It was. They were called the Canada Moist Talkers, but they were located in Halifax, Canada.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, Nova Scotia, which is in Canada, yes, but I feel like it's important to say the middle bit.
It was Halifax in Nova Scotia in Canada.
Yes, I know, but nobody just says Halifax, Canada.
They're called the Canada Moist Talkers, and he said, where were they located? And I said, Halifax. I'm right. Everything's fine. So listen.
Yes.
Let's get right into it. We do have the results, and we will be revealing them to you all live here on the show. When I say live, I'm talking to our $5 and up patrons. Now, you could become one. Yeah. Hyle, say it again. That's right. If you go to dkvine.com/Patreon or patreon.com/dkvine, you become $5 and up Patreon. You can listen to every episode live.
That's right.
Until
and
you
right
die.
now, yeah, the people who just had to tune in to find out who won, it's like the election night parties, you know? You got Me Muppet, you got Just Andre, you've got March Rose, and I assume thousands and thousands and thousands of others.
We just don't have time to name them all. We don't have time to name them. But we will be revealing the results to them live, or to the rest of you cheap wads that won't pay for it. You'll be listening to this next week. It's fine. You probably didn't even get your snake statue. So we're going to get into it. None of us know the results now.
This is true.
That out there. We're going to talk about it.
This is not a bit. We're all in the dark about this. I stand by not knowing, and I like that it, creates this bit of unpredictability when we do this, and it creates a little bit of tension in the air. I like this. I feel prickly all over.
I was worried that we didn't have enough to talk. I was like, how are we going to make an episode out of this? And it has been 25 minutes on the intro.
Yeah, you spent 20 minutes repeatedly telling people about Patreon, so let's talk about the draft.
There's only one question looming large on everyone's mind before we get to that, and it is...
Do it! I'm so bored!
The question looming on everyone's mind, hi, Mitchell, is how are you?
Oh, I'm
doing
good.
Okay?
No, I guess I was angsty. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mitchell texted me and said, you should ask us how are you, and then he yelled at me for doing it. I don't understand that.
I guess I had other stuff to think about. I didn't realize until it came out of my mouth.
Yeah, Mitchell, this is called foreplay. We like to tease, we like to tickle, we like to tantalize.
You never watched an NFL pregame show? It's part of it. So, the draft.
Yeah. The draft.
We did draft. Let's talk about Worlds first.
Yeah.
And by the way, last year we did a results episode where all three of us were present. Not a single one of us was bogged down in a swamp or lost to anything. So we were all together last year, and we spent I think, too long talking about the Idaho crew doing their own draft.
Yeah.
No, I listened to that too. It was a long time.
It was a long time. We took a while to get through it. And I was thinking to myself this year, listen, the Idaho crew, who are good contributing, what would you call them? Sort of like a growth on the side of DK Vine.
I was thinking mold, yeah.
Yeah, they have their own stream. You can watch TuesdayNights.com on Tuesday nights, every DK Vine Twitch. And they did their own draft every year, just like we have. And last year we spent way too long talking about it. So I was mentally prepared. Like I've practiced. I know how we can talk about theirs quickly. That's still fun to talk about. And they said to me, no, we got you. We'll make it real quick. We're just not going to do one. And so they didn't do it. And I stayed up late to watch their stream. I stayed up late. They were trying to get the snake statue. Yeah. And I watched them for over an hour and a half because they kept saying, we're going to get to the draft. And no shade. I mean, they have good reasons that they didn't get to it. They were fried. They were burnt out. They didn't want to do it because of some sort of snake style, video game event. So they didn't do one. And that makes my job way easier because now we don't have to worry about talking about it too much.
Yeah, the snake statue, the Rattle and Snake Bonanza event in Donkey Kong Bonanza, it's a bit of a difficult time, and they struggled with it. And so I completely understand that. I spent way too long over the last 30 hours trying to get my snake statue. I got it. Thank you for asking. But they are going to get around to the draft, I think, in like 2 weeks' time, or maybe a week from the day this goes live. So stay tuned, twitch.tv/DKVine. They stream on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, which does not include the time zone for Idaho whenever I promote that, because that is like mountain time or something like that.
It is like mountain time.
Yeah.
So yeah, for people who just can't get enough draft, tune in for their stream. You can watch them draft, and for people who still can't get enough, you go to the DKVine.com forums. You go to our forums, and there are some forum members doing their own draft.
Insane,
you can follow along. Mitchell, shut up 1 second.
But you can't keep advertising for 25 minutes.
That's not all, Mitchell. That's not all, Mitchell, because there's a bonus episode coming.
What?
That's right.
What?
A bonus episode for patrons only that is called The Other Voices. Now, sometimes Hyle's not invited to his own podcast, and when that happens, we call it Other Voices. And he finds a way with his little spell book to bind it behind a Patreon paywall. Mitchell and I and our good friend Dustin, who's one of those Idaho militia members, crew members, we're going to do our own draft episode of non-DKU Nintendo games.
Non-DKU.
And I think rare games that are also, I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, we're including Nintendo games that are not in the DKU and rare games that are not in the DKU. And we theoretically would have included Platonic games that are not in the DKU, but they didn't make any yet. So
yeah.
It's rare and Nintendo that aren't DKU.
That's what it's going to be. We're going to have an episode. It'll be up, I don't know, next week, 2 weeks. Check it out. You got to be a patron. That's fun. Yeah. March Rose in the live stream chat says, ooh, that's going to be a fun one.
I think so.
I think that's true.
People are always excited about the episodes that I'm not invited to.
Yeah.
Not me. They're always talking about Jeff Month. They can't get enough of Jeff Month. So listen, the first draft of the DKU 2026 draft, the first draft we did was Worlds. Worlds of 3D platformers. You know those special worlds that you like to explore and collect all your jiggies or adjacent items? We drafted those. Hyle, Mitchell, how do we want to do this? Should we just say what our lists were first, and then we'll kind of break down what our thoughts were? Do we think we did good? Do we think we did bad? What was our strategy?
Sure.
Well, let's list them out real quick. Hyle, which were yours?
Yeah, so the Amster Goddams, we drafted out of the 3D worlds for DKU games. I drafted Feast Layer from off of Donkey Kong Bonanza, Click Clock Wood from Banjo-Kazooie, quite controversially, DK Island from Donkey Kong Bonanza's DLC, It's War from Conker's Bad Fur Day, and perhaps most controversial of all, Pterodactyl Land from off of Banjo-Tooie. And we'll get into it. I have some more stuff I want to say about that last pick that came to light yesterday that I think I realized why I picked it.
Because of the dinosaurs.
No, well,
I would imagine.
No, actually. Jeff.
Ooh.
Actually, Mitchell, you go next. San Diego
I did go second
race.
In the draft.
Yeah.
I went second in the draft, and I went for Treasure Trove Cove and Mad Monster Mansion from Banjo-Kazooie, Freezer Layer and Radiance Layer from Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I rounded it out with Grunty Industries from Banjo-Tooie, which I knew was going to be a controversial pick. We'll see how it went. Jeff, what'd you get?
Well, me with the Miami Sound Machine, I got the Planet Core from Donkey Kong Bonanza, Witchy World from Banjo-Tooie, Freeze Easy Peak from Banjo-Kazooie, the Spooky Chapter from Conker's Bad Fur Day, and the Canyon Layer from Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah.
So those were our lists. Let's jump in. Anyone, Hyle, you're teasing us about the dinosaurs. What about the dinosaurs?
Okay, so I know Pterodactyl Land. It's apparently not a popular pick. And
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Even like Grunty Industries, which is kind of classically reviled, has kind of had a intellectual comeback amongst the thinking fans, they're like, well, actually, Grunty Industries is quite well designed. And, if you think about it, it's actually the best world in any game. But Pterodactyl Land, I think, is just sort of there for people. And by the way, I just want to say, I think everybody really had good picks. I don't really disagree with any of your 10 picks. I think that, I can see the merits behind all of them, and I really think, you had some good ones. The reason I voted for Pterodactyl Land, I drafted it, and I didn't realize this until I was watching the Idaho Crew stream with Jeff last night from when we recorded this, and we were waiting for them to get to the draft, which didn't happen. It came up that there's a part in Pterodactyl Land where Mumbo enlarges Humba's wigwam. I hate to use that term. I apologize. But and you go in, and Humba is a giantess. Mm-hmm. And look, this wasn't a thing for me in the past. This wasn't some sort of kink that I was aware of. But then that Resident Evil game came out, and it kind of made everybody into large, giant women, mommies. And I think it awoke something in me subconsciously, wow. And I think that's why I voted for Pterodactyl Land. And I'm not ashamed to admit that. I voted not with my brain.
Well, I was the one in the chat who gave you kudos because you were the only one whose level had a big wigwam. But, if you want to get... If you want to get a prehistoric level with a giant woman, you could have got the Conquer one also. You could have doubled up on that.
Yeah, double but I think she's just giant because
double D's?
He's a squirrel, whereas this one is indisputable that she's just big. So
okay, you can't get off if there's a logical way to discount the giantness.
It doesn't work if I'm the size of a squirrel. It only works if she's bigger than me.
I think that squirrel is almost as big as Banjo if you put him next to Diddy Kong Racing cars.
Well, Banjo's just a little guy. Banjo's right. Banjo's pretty small.
They're all the size of a Diddy Kong Racing car.
Look,
I think.
I don't want you to think
of inside a Christmas tree.
I don't want you to think of some sort of pervert. Like I said, it's buried in my unconscious. But
it does seem like you want us to actually think of you as a kind of pervert. But I don't because I totally understand where you're coming from. I might also feel
Look,
it.
Is Humba a somewhat problematic character? Is Humba somewhat hasn't aged well? Yes. However, still a smoke show.
Okay. It's kind of hard to dispute that. Mitchell, do you have any comments on your list, Mitchell?
Well, I just wanted to ask everyone else. It's fun to think of regrets, and it's fun to think of what you would have done differently. Is there anything in your list that a week on, or is it 2 weeks, whatever it was, you're just not feeling as strong about this time?
I'll jump right in. I'm unsure about my choices because, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the voting results will favor me. We still don't know the results, but I picked Planet Core in the very first round with my first choice because I thought that the nostalgia fan service element of the reveal that the Kremlings are in Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's what the Planet Core gives us. It gives us a gauntlet of never-ending, orgasmic fan service. Oh my god, the Kremlings exist, and next is the Neki Skyway, and next is a Zinger section, and next is the Claptraps, and we don't know that they're in there because we don't look that closely all the time, Hyle.
Hey now.
But hey now, this is what dreams. Okay, so I thought Planet Core is like a home run, and the second I picked it, everyone is like, whoa, really? That's what you're picking? Like the first round? We were never gonna pick that. None of us wanted that. It was not it was not sought after. It was not a first round needed to grab. And so now I'm questioning that. And then at the end of the draft, my 5th pick, I'm like, okay, but now I really do need a normal, real Bonanza level. One that is not just a linear gauntlet like the Planet Core is. I want like a Bonanza classic level. And the freezer layer was gone. I wouldn't have picked it because I already had a snow level at that time, but it was picked. I went with the canyon layer, which I love, which is probably of the available options my favorite one that was left. But now I'm unsure of that as well. I think that, is the canyon layer a little overlooked compared to some of the main levels that have Bonanza forms and Kong elders? And like, for example, should I have picked the forest layer there? I don't know. Or Lagoon layer, maybe.
Lagoon layer was the one I was thinking of the most. And the only reason I did not pick Lagoon layer is because in my mind there was too much crossover with Treasure Trove Cove in a thematic sense. But I really like Lagoon layer a lot. I was on the episode of the Kongversation about the Lagoon layer, and I explained why I think it's one of the best levels in the game. I hold that to be true. I think doing this was really an exercise in learning that, yes, we do think that Donkey Kong Bonanza is immediately one of the best ones in this series we hold so dear.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing accomplishment. But no, not yet are any of the individual things in it as iconic as the things that we've been talking about for 30 years. And when it comes down to levels, I think, Hyle, you did get something that I think Jeff and I were both thinking about a lot with the feast layer, because the feast layer is a pretty singular level in Bonanza that is iconic and big and fun. But there's going to be other levels in Bonanza that as the years go on, maybe we start just thinking about like, yeah, that was just okay. Or yeah, maybe Lagoon Layer was one of the best first levels in a 3D platformer of all time. Like, I would argue that it is. It's hard to know exactly. I said, like, my Bonanza layer is the Radiance layer, and I had messaged you guys yesterday just saying, like, hey, we should close the voting as soon as possible because people are getting really frustrated with this snake statue situation.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to negatively affect me.
For those of you who might be listening to this episode in the far off future of 2042 or whenever you might listen to it, right now in our lives, there's this event with a snake statue, and it requires you to get mad while playing the Radiance layer of Donkey Kong Bonanza. And for that reason, Mitchell might lose. We'll find out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It really feels like it could
people are getting
materially affect me.
People are getting pissed at snakes, at the Radiance layer, at Mitchell. They blame Mitchell for this. And,
yeah, I drafted it, so they had to do the thing in it.
And yeah, they're doing Canyon Layer next month, so Jeff gets off like just completely scot-free.
Now, I think Canyon Layer, as of right now, I feel that it might be one of the underrated ones because it doesn't seem like one of the main levels that it gets talked about. I think, it might end up hurting me that Canyon Layer is like a personal pick. It's the one that I think is better than some of the other options I could have chosen from. I like Canyon Layer a lot more than I like Forest Layer. But maybe I should have picked Forest Layer. And Lagoon Layer was the one. Mitchell likes Lagoon Layer a lot. I think that I will need to replay the game more to get an appreciation for that first level, because I can't get my brain over like the first levelness of it. Like, I didn't know what Bonanza was while I was playing Lagoon Layer. So maybe I'll appreciate it more the next time. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's what's interesting, because Bonanza is a game, and I think Mitchell has talked about how well paced Bonanza is, but it is a game of different arcs and different feelings when you're playing it. And I would say that like once you get past Canyon Layer, the game enters another act, and then like Feast Layer is completely removed from Lagoon Layer in just tone and where you are in the game and the relationship between Donkey Kong and Pauline. So like I'm having some doubts about DK Island, honestly. That's a classic Hyle heart pick, but was I using my brain for that when I could have drafted Lagoon Layer? Because I could have had Feast Layer and Lagoon Layer representing like two different ends of Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Wow, that's true. And we should talk about the other games that aren't Bonanza, but I do want to highlight a question that I have circled on my piece of notepad paper that will also come up on our games draft, which is just, is this year's draft going to be all about Bonanza? None of us know the results yet. Is it like, and I think that if the theory holds, if the hypothesis holds true, maybe Mitchell will run away with the games draft because he's the one out of the three of us that got Bonanza. And maybe our individual picks of Bonanza layers in this world's draft, maybe that will be all that determines this, because I don't know if we got a bunch of influx of new patrons that are just here because Donkey Kong Bonanza is so exciting. And is Donkey Kong Bonanza so new and exciting that it's going to kind of dictate what people vote for? Or maybe not at all. Maybe that's overblown completely. We're going to find out when we look at the results. But that was definitely a fear I had in the back of my mind while we were making our picks, that is Bonanza so new and so exciting that it's going to dictate everything that happens.
I think you have to also keep in mind that all three of us would have voted for Donkey Kong Bonanza if we had the opportunity. The only reason Mitchell got it is Mitchell went first.
Well, I don't think Donkey Kong Bonanza is particularly unique in that way. We all three would have also gotten DKC2 or Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, but I think Bonanza was the dagger we were all going to go for first.
Yeah,
I think for this year,
it was the shiny new object. It
Bonanza.
was the thing that we had to think about that was different than last time. Yeah, and I did choose to get it first. But something that I thought was interesting, I checked in on the Patreon poll a little while ago, so I didn't see the end voting result, but I did see that someone had commented that I forget who it was, I'm sorry if you're listening, but they were wondering if we had been putting too much emphasis on Bonanza in the draft. Ooh. Because from this person's perspective, like, yeah, look, it's the hot new thing. Excuse me, it's the hot new thing, but Bonanza has only sold like 4 million units, and not everyone bought the Switch 2 yet and has been like hounding on Bonanza quite as much as the regulars who are on the podcast. The listening audience might feel a completely different thing of like, yeah, I like that it's happened.
Ooh.
But we haven't bought the new hardware yet. There's only 19 million Switch 2s out there, which is so much less than most of the other consoles of the games that we talk about. Like, it's the speed at which the Switch 2 is selling is very fast, but it's nowhere near the number of Nintendo 64s that are out there. It's certainly nowhere near the number of Switch 1s that are out there. So for us to always be talking about Bonanza like, oh, it's this thing that every single one of our listeners is going to like and going to be focused on, maybe it could completely backfire. All three of us got, is this true? Did all three of us get
double
two Bonanza
Bonanza
levels? We did.
Yes.
We doubled up on Bonanza levels, all three of us. With some of them, like the Feast Layer, I think if you haven't played Bonanza and you look at Feast Layer and you're like, oh, it's a big theme park, I get it, that's cool. But if you haven't played Bonanza and you look at a screenshot of like Radiance Layer and you're just thinking like, what, it's a cave? I don't know. I'm not voting for that. That could be a problem for me. That could be a problem for any of them.
Canyon Layer, I want to say that Canyon Layer is a unique thing for me because levels that are the color of sand are usually my least favorite. I don't like levels that are the color of sand. I don't like Gobi's Valley, and I don't like Pterodactyl Land. I don't like in Donkey Kong Country Returns the world that's called Cliff, even though I love dinosaur bones. So I like, and when I say I don't like, what I really mean is I just like them less than some of the other ones. But like, I think the color of sand is ugly, and I don't think it's good.
All right, Anakin.
But I picked the canyon layer, and I love it. But I kind of think, to Mitchell's point, like, if you haven't played Bonanza and you just look at a screenshot of canyon layer, is it going to be like the lamest shit you've ever seen in your life? I don't know.
I know, but you could be that reductive about anything. You can say, "Oh, Freezy Peak. It's snow. Big deal." Oh,
well, I don't know, but
the difference
I think, like,
is
the
how long it's
forest
been
layer
around.
photographs. The forest layer photographs a lot better, probably, than the canyon
true.
layer. I don't know. You know,
Well,
I
the
think
forest
the canyon
layer is also just
better,
closer to, like, it's the closest level in the game to the Jungle Japes, Jungle Hijinks kind of traditional Donkey Kong jungle.
Yeah.
So that's a fun touchstone as well. It's probably
and it's
the
got
best
the ostriches
version of
Damn
a
it,
3D
I
platformer level of Donkey Kong's thing. I thought about it too. I also didn't do it.
Canyon Layer has the best music in the game, and nobody who hasn't played it will know that.
That's not true. Lagoon Layer has the best music in the game, but that's okay. The thing with, like, the Banjo-Kazooie levels is it could be Banjo-Kazooie didn't sell much more than 4 million copies. It's I think double that ish, but that still doesn't mean that it's in the same situation as Bonanza, even if it was the same number, because having 30 years of a head start is just going to mean that even if you have not played Banjo-Kazooie and you've not played Donkey Kong Bonanza, you're going to be looking at Banjo-Kazooie levels like Treasure Trove Cove and Freeze Easy Peak and Click Clock Wood. And if you're on this website and you're able to vote, which means that you're financially interested in this thing, you're going to have heard people talk about it a lot for the last few decades of your life. And there's no levels in Bonanza that are at this stage in our nostalgia cycle for this game. It'll get there, I bet. But at this stage, people are not, like, waxing poetic about how when they saw the light in Radiance Layer come on and it went from all dark with spots of light to all light with spots of dark, their mind was blown. Like, they don't have that yet in their heart, but I think they'll get there. We're doing this too early is maybe the crux of what I'm saying.
Well, I think they'll get there, but I've also never seen, in all my time doing the DK Vine, which is a new dance I came up with, I'll show you later. In all my time, I've never seen a game like Bonanza, like, just immediately, like, shoot to that stature as fast as it has. Even Returns in Tropical Freeze, had a fair share of detractors amongst the fandom when it came out. But I think Bonanza, it walks that incredibly tightrope, like the tight, thin line above a precarious pit of pleasing the most diehard fans while also doing radically new things. And I think that's why Bonanza has just, like...
And doing them exceptionally well.
And that's why it's vaulted right up there alongside your Banjo-Kazooies.
I'm very curious about Mitchell's point that, yes, we believe that, and I think all of the diehards who have played it are feeling that, but are we getting too enthusiastic when maybe there is a large portion of the audience that is enthusiastic about it but doesn't have attachment for it yet because they haven't played it? I don't know. That'll be interesting to see. But then you talk about Banjo-Kazooie, which I think within the fandom, there are people, and on this podcast, there are people who have varying opinions about whether Banjo-Kazooie is better or worse than Banjo-Tooie. And we can try to compare them to Bonanza, but that's a whole other conversation. But you compare the two to each other, and I think that we all kind of grokked onto the notion that...
Don't say grok.
We all sort of click-clocked onto the notion
we clotted on.
That Banjo-Kazooie is the maybe the more iconic or the more wider umbrella mainstream one. I think that Mitchell's favorite is Tooie, and that's the opinion of a lot of diehards that are really into the sauce.
Yep.
But Kazooie has a sort of broader mass appeal that maybe Tooie didn't get. Anyway, whatever the case, we all drafted a level from Kazooie and a level from Tooie. That's
just good strategy.
Part of that being that you're hitting on all the different fans. You're hitting on variety. I think variety is something we're all considering. However, to Mitchell's point about how these worlds of Kazooie have reached a level of wide recognition that maybe Bonanza worlds have not, there is an extent to which I actually thought that hurt how do I phrase this? I did not feel a lot of urgency to get those Kazooie levels because I thought there was like 5 or 6 Kazooie levels that were all good to have.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
That's true. Yeah, that's not untrue.
So in my first round picks, as we went through the snake draft in the first round, Hyle got what I thought was my favorite level from Bonanza. And then Mitchell got what I thought was my favorite level from Banjo-Kazooie. And then I got to go twice in a row because of the snake of the draft. And I got a level from Bonanza. And then I could have got a level from Kazooie. And at that point in the draft, I thought, there's probably 3 great or maybe even 4 great ones I would like to have. But there was one level from Tooie that I really wanted. That I thought, for me as a non-Tooie... I'm not a Tooie champion. I'm not a Tooie lover. I thought this is the level that appeals to me and might have the broadest appeal of a Tooie level. I went for Witchy World there before I even got any Kazooie level.
I think it might be the case that now that we've done one draft with Bonanza as the shiny new object, if we were to do it again where Bonanza is more normalized, it's just part of our lives. And to do the 3D Worlds draft again, Witchy World might be the most valuable first pick, now that I think about it. Because it is the level in Tooie that, in terms of iconicity, most stands up with anything in Kazooie. In terms of variety, stands up with anything in Bonanza. Because you clearly want a level from Banjo-Kazooie, you want a level from Banjo-Tooie, and you want a level from Donkey Kong Bonanza at least. You want one level from each of those things, probably multiple from 1 or 2 of them. And the thing with Banjo-Tooie is that it is a game that really doesn't feature individualized levels that are meant to stand on their own as much as Kazooie or Bonanza do. Mm-hmm. It's a game that has a lot of levels that feed into each other, and that's kind of like the whole point of the game. They don't feel as siloed off as the levels in Kazooie, but I think that does mean that each individual world in Tooie feels less iconic and fun and choosable on its own.
Yeah.
Except for Witchy World. And that means that if you need a core of 1 Kazooie level, 1 Bonanza level, and 1 Tooie level, you've got a lot of options from Kazooie and Bonanza, and you have really like the one big main option from Tooie. And then you've got like a lot of A tier instead of S tier other choices from Tooie after that point.
Well, Mitchell, one thing I think you played well in comparison to me and Jeff is you drafted 2 worlds from Banjo-Kazooie. And Jeff and I just drafted 1 Kazooie world, 1 Tooie world. And you also drafted Grunty Industries from Tooie. But where Jeff and I differed is we each drafted a chapter from Conker's Bad Fur Day, which out of all of these 3D platformers we're discussing, Bonanza and the Kazooie N64 duology, Conker's Bad Fur Day is the lesser of those 4. It's very cinematic and it's very memorable, but as far as just pure having fun playing a video game, it's at the bottom. It's just it's more of a visual and audio treat than it is a game. But
I think of it kind of like Subspace Emissary in that way. Like Conquer is fun to play through in the same way that it's fun to watch all of the cutscenes on YouTube from Subspace Emissary.
Yeah.
That's sort of a similar vibe.
No,
And I think we wanted the representation, though, and I think that you're right. Like, there's so many great worlds from Kazooie that it would have just been safer to draft another world from Kazooie, but I think Jeff and I were both interested in diversity.
Well, someone in the first time that we did this 2 years ago, someone posted this thing, and I think I get a little frustrated thinking about it because they were obviously not playing along with the limitations of the game. But they said, I would have drafted Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Donkey Kong 64, and Yooka-Laylee. And first off, it's a draft, so you can't just get the stuff you want, buddy. And second off, no, I think that it would be a really bad thing, even though, yes, I think that we have found in the results for the previous drafts, the 3D platformers are the most valuable with our voters, especially the Banjo ones, historically. That is true, so I don't know necessarily if that would have been that bad, but clearly there is a desire to have variety in your in your list. Now, I think sometimes we can trip ourselves up, like I think I did to myself, by focusing too much on variety, because if I look at my list of 3D worlds and think about how I didn't draft Lagoon Lair because I also had Treasure Trove Cove, I think maybe I should have just done it anyway instead of either Freezer or Radiance Lair, and maybe I shouldn't have cared as much about Lagoon Lair.
That might be true.
And before I got on my Dami Mega Mommy kick and voted for Pterodactyl Land, I was considering Jolly Roger's Lagoon because, personally speaking, that is my favorite world in Banjo-Tooie, but I also know the Atlantis section has a reputation, and I just overthought it, and I kind of choked, and I said, no, if I vote Jolly Roger's Lagoon, people will hate that because they like the little seaside village, but they don't like anything else about it. And I should have listened to my gut instead of whatever.
I tried to help you out.
To.
I was saying on the podcast that it's I believe it's Dustin's favorite level, or one of his favorite levels from like any game.
Well, let me just say also, as someone who doesn't love Tooie, but I love Witchy World, and I talk a lot about how Witchy World to me feels a little bit more familiarly structured to a Banjo-Kazooie level in the way that it's mostly around like circular thing with the big tent in the middle, and then like little spokes off of the main wheel where you can go do something in this area, clear it out, then move on to the next spoke, clear it out. My favorite level is Bubble Gloop Swamp, and everyone hates it. I don't know why people don't like it. Bubble Gloop Swamp is my favorite level because I can clear it out very methodically. So, listen, within Banjo-Tooie, the second level that I like is Jolly Roger's Lagoon. And so maybe that should have been the one you should have picked. But I mean, that's
maybe try better next time.
That's just trying to like, maybe you should not vote for the one that people that dislike Tooie like. Maybe that's not the right move.
Yeah,
well, you know what none of us picked is a
know.
water level. And I think that's because
true.
Water levels have a kind of mimetic more than actual they have a rep for being bad. Mm-hmm. And I think that in actual fact, if you go through like what are people's favorite levels from these games, especially these classic Nintendo 64 era 3D games, I don't think water levels actually do as poorly as people say they do. But there's a rep. They have a rep.
They have
What's
a
the word I'm trying to say?
Reputation.
They have a reputation.
I don't give a damn. I'm a bad reputation. So listen, we did kind of, I think we all identified that there was a big three of games. Tooie, Kazooie, Bonanza.
Yeah.
And then if you got outside of that big three, Hyle and I both dipped into Conker's Bad Fur Day. But let me talk for a second about the three platformers outside of that big three, which we all had to sort of consider. Are we going to dip our toes outside those big three? And if we do, what's it going to be?
Yeah.
I think we all did weigh the options, and I think there's only a few that were in serious consideration. Conker's Bad Fur Day being one of them, but the others that maybe you guys also considered, that I considered, Donkey Kong 64 and Yooka-Laylee. Nobody picked from either of those games, but we definitely thought about it.
Yeah. So with Yooka-Laylee, I did think about it specifically with Glitter Glazed Glacier. And the reason I didn't go with that is because I think it is the best level in Yooka-Laylee and Replaylee. And the reason I think it is the best level, it has a great use of verticality. The different like compartments and caves that connect the areas feel sensible in a way that doesn't detract from their like sense of awe and majesty. The music is probably Kirkhope's best level theme in that game. It's good stuff. But I had a hard time, even for the level that I say is the best level in Yooka-Laylee, putting it above either Freeze Easy Peak, which I was hoping for, and Jeff, you beat me to it, or the Freezer Lair.
And yeah. And I think Bonanza really just upended us leaning on DK64 or Yooka-Laylee, unfortunately. I think there was just too many good options now on the table from Bonanza.
That's true. Bonanza has a lot of levels too, just quantity-wise.
It does.
Yes.
And like, for me, I don't trust my instincts when it comes to Yooka-Laylee, because my favorite worlds are generally the ones people hate in that game. Like, I like what Capital Casino does. I like how different it is.
Me too.
I like
Capital Casino.
I like Galleon Galaxy, and I think Yooka-Replaylee really lifts it up, but I just know the reputation it has, and so I think because Bonanza just gives us a bounty to choose from, just kind of didn't go to that well.
Well,
I
and
did
if you
think
want to
seriously
talk
about Jungle Japes as my final pick instead of Grunty Industries.
I honestly wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder about that. You might have pissed off less people.
It could go either way, honestly. But
We don't know. Yeah.
I'd rather do the big swing and see it fail than think about what if I did it. But the thing with Jungle Japes is that of the Donkey Kong 64 levels, I think it's the one that gets up its own ass the least about its actual like map layout.
Yeah.
Frantic Factory being the other option, but just in terms of factory levels, let's do the big one people know about if we're doing a factory level, and I go with Grunty Industries.
Well, if you want to talk about a bad reputation, to me, I had a conscious feeling to avoid Yooka-Laylee because of PR reasons. I felt that, the game Yooka-Replaylee could have been an opportunity for the game Yooka-Laylee to have a big sort of reconsideration in the public view. And I think that opportunity was very squandered by a product release that is not that good and a very big one after another PR storm of negative consequences of things going on behind the scenes that are coming out. So I think that to me, it was really difficult to even touch Yooka-Laylee. I don't dislike the game Yooka-Laylee, a lot. I dislike it a little, but I like some of the levels, but I also, by the way, I have not played Replaylee. But I would have. No,
But he hates it.
No. Well, because here, let me tell you why. Because they don't put it on my Xbox or my PlayStation. They only put it on the new Xbox and the new PlayStation.
Oh,
and then
okay.
and then they put it on the Switch, and then every single person I know says, "Oh my God, the Switch version, it's horrible. It beats up dogs and it spits on babies. It's so bad. You should not play the Switch version." And I'm like, guys, I can't afford the PlayStation 5. I was about to afford the PlayStation 5. I got so close to affording a PlayStation 5, and they said, "Listen, guys, we're gonna up the price. It's 12 years old, the PlayStation 5. We're going to up the price more this time." It's the first time that's ever happened. I wish it didn't happen, but they did. So I can't have PlayStation 5. I can't have Yooka-Replaylee.
Right. Jeff, I will say, though, that they did patch Yooka-Replaylee on a Switch 2, and it no longer beats up dogs. So, just
well, we're
keep that in mind.
happy about that. The dogs that are hurt are hurt. But listen, I
Can't unhurt that dog.
Let me talk about Donkey Kong 64. I had circled some levels from every game. I had looked at Kazooie, and I said, Treasure Trove Cove is probably the best 3D platformer world, but Mitchell took it. And Click Clock Wood, I think, is incredibly, but Hyle took it. I like a lot of the levels from Kazooie. I don't like a lot of the levels from Tooie. There's a small list, and I got the one I wanted. When you come to Donkey Kong 64, it's also a small list. And I was considering Frantic Factory. Is that what it's called? Frantic Factory?
Yeah.
Is that, yeah. That's it. And then the other one was the Creepy Castle. I like the Creepy Castle because I wanted to have a spooky level. And I don't know if that matters. I'm not sure if having a spooky level
I
is part
convinced
of the
myself
strategy.
it did matter, which is why I went for Mad
Right.
Monster Mansion probably
We
earlier than
all
I
thought about
personally
it.
would have.
So I had written down, gotta get a spooky level, gotta get a snow level. And then
That's like a Harry Nilsson song. I don't know why.
I think that worked out for you because the spooky and snow levels you got, well, counting Witchy World and Freeze Easy Peak, are, I think, just also, they happen to be two of the best levels you could have picked. I don't know if it helps that they're spooky and snow in particular, but
Well, it
they're
does,
just good.
yeah, I just thought, so I'm exaggerating when I say you gotta have one, but I did think to myself, if I want to have a good variety sampling of what people think of 3D platforming worlds, I thought, having a good snow level, having a good spooky level, these are some things. But really, I even wrote maybe a pirate level, just because a lot of us love pirates. I like Treasure Trove Cove and Galleon Galaxy a little. The one from Donkey Kong 64, not at all. Gloomy Galleon, not at all. But I thought of these things, and then I also wrote down just have a color variety, have like style variety. So having a snow level was not the most important thing, but having my 5 levels not feel samey was important. And I'm not sure how well I did. I mean, I don't love the color variety of what I've got, but I did get a good spooky level, a good ice level. And then when I was looking at Donkey Kong 64 levels, obviously I waited until the end to consider them because I'm not going to get a Donkey Kong 64 level, in the third round. But you get to the end, you start considering variety, and I'm like, okay, Frantic Factory. Mitchell just took Grunty Industries. Am I going to pick a factory right now? Is that going to put us in direct comparison? Possibly negatively. I don't really
you
know
might win
what
that
people
comparison.
think.
I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't. Those are two factories in two games that I'm not intimately familiar with. And then the other one was the Creepy Castle, and I already had the spooky level. I had Spooky from Conker's Bad Fur Day, and I had Witchy World, which are both the spooky levels. I love them. But I, at that moment, at the 5th round, realize, I've got a Bonanza level, but I got kind of a gimmick level with the Gauntlet of Kremlings, and I really maybe needed a normal level, so I got the Canyon layer, and even then, I'm worried that the Canyon layer is not even normal enough. It doesn't even have ostriches. So we'll find out. But yeah, Donkey Kong 64, Yooka-Laylee, none of us got them. We did look at Bad Fur Day. I argued on that podcast that maybe with Bad Fur Day, the vibes matter more than the game.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And I wonder, I think that's true for the people who champion Bad Fur Day. I think Bad Fur Day has a cult following of a lot of people who've never played it. I think that Conker as a character is very popular by a lot of people who never played Bad Fur Day. It's a very bad selling game that doesn't have a lot of actual fans. But I think a lot of people like Conker, and I wonder how many people love Spooky because of the vibes. And on the flip side, you have the people who did play Conker and don't like it. And I wonder if I'm going to get hate votes. You know what I mean?
Interesting, yeah.
Hate votes are real. Hate votes are where Mitchell has 5 games that I don't hate. Jeff has 3 games I love, but 1 game I despise. So I can't vote for Jeff. Like, I'm wondering if I'm going to get hate votes just for including Bad Fur Day.
What I will say about Conker is that I think the vibes matter more for Conker than they do for Donkey Kong 64, whereas like the convoluted poor structure of Donkey Kong 64, vibes can't save it, where I think vibes can carry something like Spooky in Conker's Bad Fur Day. I voted for It's War, which, let's be honest, is kind of a slog when you're trying to control Conker through those hail of bullets, but it's so memorable and it's so like viscerally exciting, even if it sucks to play. So I think like I stand by that over, say, well, Gloomy Galleon, because I like the pirate vibes, because nobody wants to play Gloomy Galleon. Nobody will even consider that.
Yeah, Gloomy Galleon is the kind of water level that it has the correct reputation for water levels. It is correctly disliked about it.
So yeah, Jeff, I do like that we voted for Conker. I do like that we have some representation in there. I just think Mitchell was probably smarter by excluding it entirely.
The only reason I excluded it is because you two got the ones I would have picked for it.
Sure.
I thought about it. I thought about It's War. I thought about It's War and Spooky and actually Sleprano. But then you made a joke about Sleprano before I could do it, so I knew I couldn't do that because you had already joked about it.
It does make me, of course, we always run into this question, like, we think that variety helps, and we have such a small sample size to look at data. We don't know if variety helps, because should I get a Conker level, or should I just get the 5th or 6th best Banjo level? And maybe that is still better. Like, where are we at? What Banjo level did not get picked? Clanker's Cavern, Gobi's Valley, like
Rusty Bucket Bay is something.
Rusty Bucket Bay. I don't. Yeah, Mumbo's Mountain. I don't know, but like you get into those and you wonder, or Bonanza, Forest Layer, Lagoon Layer. Is there just a point where I'm forcing my list to have variety by getting a Conker level, and maybe I should have just doubled up or tripled up. But I felt that, in my mind, Witchy World was the one to pick from Tooie, and Spooky was the one to pick from Bad Fur Day. And I felt like I got both of those, like, what I thought might be a tier above the second best choice in that category. And hopefully it worked out.
Honestly, I would have gone with It's War over Spooky, personally.
You like it? I mean, for me, it's all vibes, and I just love Spooky. And maybe that's a heart pick. Maybe I'm a Spooky character. Well, speaking of heart picks,
the only other one that I was like really considering and I didn't go with was Thieves Haven. And the reason for that is because I didn't want to have another debate after we had already talked about New Donk City. So I was thinking like, well, Sea of Thieves, the podcast is getting pretty long. I don't know if it's 3D Worlds, but the islands in Sea of Thieves are interesting. If you want to talk about like what's divisive for our listener base, Sea of Thieves is probably more divisive than either Conker or Donkey Kong 64 or even Yooka-Laylee.
It doesn't star a googly-eyed animal. That's where you go wrong.
There's a wide number that just have never have never played it, will never play it. Lots of our listeners.
I will say I am regretting Pterodactyl Land. The more it weighs on me, the worse I feel.
Buddy.
She's a good size.
She's
not too
real
big.
big. We like it when she's real big.
It's like, you have a one night stand, you wake up the next morning and, you're like in the refractory period and you're like, what did I do?
There's your eyeglasses are on it. There's a glass of water from yesterday. I thought you said I'm confused. I heard you say a one night stand. I'm thinking of a nightstand. Sorry. Anyways.
Jesus.
Yeah, my theory with Pterodactyl Land is that people talk about Grunty Industries because it is like the single largest 3D platformer level rare ever made. It's larger than anything it feels larger than anything in Bonanza. I guess I don't actually know if that's true, but you could definitely go through it slower. But despite that conversation about it, I think that it being the centerpiece of what happens when you play through Banjo-Tooie is kind of overstated because more people than that drop out somewhere between the underwater section of Jolly Roger Lagoon and Pterodactyl Land. I think that's where, like, if you're going through a playthrough of Tooie and then you lose interest halfway through, that's where it is. Because that is, like, Pterodactyl Land is the test level of, like, okay, the first 3 or 4 levels, especially before the water in Jolly Roger's Lagoon, are pretty comparable to large Banjo-Kazooie levels. But in the second half of this game, the second half of Tooie, we're going to put you into a position where you really need to think about just the sheer scope and complexity of these of these levels, of these areas. You have to keep a mental map all the time. Pterodactyl Land is like the litmus test for whether you're going to be able to do it when you get to something like Hailfire Peaks, where you have so many entrances and exits between the two halves of the world, or certainly Grunty Industries, but also just Cloud Cuckoo Land with how spread out it is. And Cloud Cuckoo Land is a bad level altogether, but yeah.
Here's a level that nobody has ever brought up. Glitter Gulch Mine. And I have nothing to say
like
about it. We don't have nothing to say about it. But it's just we just forget that it exists. It's in there. I think again the fun part about this is that we don't know, one, the results, and two, once we get the results, we don't exactly know what caused the results. We'll look at our list and we'll say, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have picked a Conquer level, but do we really know that's why we lost? We'll not know that.
I think it's going to be chalked up to economic anxiety.
Well, I do kind of think that choosing a Conquer level is sort of a recession indicator. It might be, I think. But
really quick, Gigastrike has joined us and says, I do consider variety a lot. And Traveler of the Stars has joined us in the chat and says, Hyle, yeah, that was your pick I thought was off about Pterodactyl Land. So I'm not feeling great about you reading the results here, Jeff.
Well, yeah, and then Mitchell said something about Sea of Thieves. I would have really argued on the podcast not to do it, but also, we talked about, I didn't think we should let Grunty's Revenge, the Game Boy Advance game,
right.
Maybe we should have allowed it. I don't think even if we did allow it, we maybe wouldn't have chosen from it. People might be wondering what even other options are there. Well, certainly Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was an option. And on the Idaho stream, they talked at length within the Idaho house. It's really funny when you listen to those guys is because they have their own inside culture that they all are part of. And I'm not sure if they know what's going on outside it, but they are their own voters. And so they were like, wait, why wouldn't you pick a Nuts and Bolts world? There's like probably half the Nuts and Bolts worlds we love and the other half we hate. And they were all in agreement that
players
Nuts
are
and
in
Bolts,
that house.
Right. Everyone in that house plays Nuts and Bolts. Either they play it or they, quote unquote, play it together where one of them plays it, they all watch. And that's great. That might be the ideal way to play it. I think that might be awesome, but that's not how most people view that game. I think Nuts and Bolts is cool and interesting, but I would really struggle to vote for a list that had a Nuts and Bolts world on it. Although we argued a lot about whether hub worlds were allowed, and maybe the only world that is universally
Showdown Town, yeah.
Showdown Town. Yeah.
Appreciated in Nuts and Bolts is Showdown Town. Yeah. So other
Showdown
games,
Town.
Clive and Wrench, Demon Turf, we weren't considering. I don't think we were any of us seriously considering them, but they were eligible.
They were, but we got to play to win.
It just makes sense to pick the next best banjo level than you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Than pick a game that most of our audience has not played. So
yeah, Logbox
anyways.
720 came up in my head, but like I don't think there was ever real competition for it to be picked.
In a bigger draft with like more players, like if there was 5 player or if we were doing a leftovers draft after the top ones are removed, then at that point, I think the top Nuts and Bolts level might really move the needle a little. But
by the way,
also,
Hyle, for your
go
anxiety about Donkey Kong Island, I think it was a great pick. I thought that was actually... I don't think it matters that there's no bananas on that island. I think
Thanks,
it's a good pick.
But that is just the fan in me coming out where, well, I like Donkey Kong and I like where he lives. And oh boy, we got to actually just reside in his home for a bit. And it's like the closest you can come to having a hub world that's not a hub world. And I recognize I should have probably voted for Lagoon Lair, but I mean, I have a snake statue there now, so I don't know.
Snake statue?
A snake statue.
Well, so I know Jeff doesn't care for Emerald Rush, but there's like a whole big section of that game now that is playable on almost every level where Donkey Kong Island is the best place to play that mode. And I think that boosts the validity of that choice quite a bit.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's a good one.
Well, I'm getting angsty. I want to hear the results, Jeff.
All right. I think we're there.
Should we do
I
that
don't have much
before or
more.
after the second draft we talk about?
Well, wouldn't it be interesting to know this and then feel anxiety as we go through the next one? I don't know. What do you think?
I think that would be good. I think we've had enough foreplay now. I want to get to the next part of this one night stand. I don't know where I'm going with this analogy.
I'm currently about to Harvey the envelope.
Okay.
What, Hyle? Okay.
Harvey the Envelope is my favorite Conker character, by the way.
Hyle, did you send me results or did you just send me a list of every patron's email? Hold on. Is there... Okay, so there's not a total.
What do you mean there's not a total?
Have you looked at your own document? Okay, here's the PDF you sent me. There is a list of the patron names that voted and when they voted and what their email is. Cool. And then the next page shows there's 3 columns, Mitchell, Hyle, and Jeff with our team names. And then in each column, it's a list of everyone's vote, either a 0 or a 1. So here's Mitchell. Mitchell's results are 001 001 0000011011100. There's no total at the bottom.
Okay.
Kyle, this is what you've sent me?
Well, I
can't
can
read
look.
this.
I here. You know what? Jeff? I can just send you the results.
Well, that's
I
what you
don't like
thought you
what
did
you
the
did.
first time.
Yeah. The thing you did send me is not adequate, unfortunately.
I thought you could count up all the ones and the... Okay, fine. You know what?
Fun
Just-
to
I can, but
go
I don't
back and
want
remember
to.
being excited to look at this document.
Kyle sent me a link to a page I can't view because I'm not one of his patrons.
Oh my god! All right.
Just screenshot what you see on your screen
Jesus.
and send it to me.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
also
but,
logging
like-
into Patreon. I might get there faster.
Well, I would love to read it out loud, but it seems like I'm the only one who can't see it.
Well, maybe we just dive into the other draft while we figure this out.
I also have the least financial security.
Jeff, you are a big shot.
Mitchell,
you. What are you talking about? You are the elite.
No. I recently found out that my annual maximum out of pocket on my health insurance is double what I thought it is. So I'm going to have to spend another $4,000 this year as I keep going to the goddamn throat surgeon. Meanwhile, I found out that the girl that hit my car lied to the cops about having insurance because when my insurance looked up her insurance, they found out that her car didn't have insurance. So I'm not getting anything unless I take her to small claims court, and I'm not sure how to, like, what if I'm supposed to. So I don't know. And, I'm taking this B class. Well, listen, I've got the results. The results have come in.
You got the results now, Jeff?
That's enough. It's quite enough personal information from Jeff during Jeff Month. Jeff Month is coming to an end. Listen, in the DKU draft, Worlds of 3D Platformers draft, 2026 draft, here are the results. Coming in third place.
Oh, God.
With 25% of the vote is the Miami Sound Machines, managed by Jeff. 25% for Jeff.
Third place?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Third place.
Wow.
Third
for
place.
Witchy World and Free ZZ Peak, that is surprising to me. When you got those two, I got pretty scared.
Now I'm wondering if it's the Bonanza thing. Okay, well, we'll find out. Because coming in second place with 36% of the vote is the San Diego Padres for Mitchell. 36. And leaving, if you quick at math, leaving 39%, we have Hyle's Amster Goddams, 39% of the vote. So Mitchell and Hyle very close. This reminds me quite a bit of last year's character draft, where I got a very clear third place, but Mitchell and Hyle were in the mid-30s and close to each other. It's interesting. Now, something I should point out, if for people who listened to last year's episode, they might be remembering that I put on a whole trivia game to give you guys bonus points.
Yeah.
And they were wondering what the heck. Well, I was planning to do that this year, and it was actually up until this moment right now where I forgot to do it.
But you know what? I think that made sense last year, considering there were so many games we could not draft. I think this year, let's just, cut out the nonsense a little bit.
Last year's episode was too long. This year, but maybe you guys deserved the bonus points, but I was less giving. So here's the score right now. I did get 25% with Planet Core, Witchy World, and the rest. And then Hyle with 39, Mitchell in the middle with 36.
I will say right now, though, looking at this draft versus looking at the other draft that I can also see here, the number of votes is different in each draft.
Oh,
yeah.
So less people voted for one of the other. That's interesting. Some people didn't care about one of the polls.
More people voted for the 3D worlds than they voted for the games.
Well, we've got those results. They're going to sit in the back of our minds. Let's talk about games.
Let's talk about it.
We have an hour max to go. Let's just run through this. We did draft games, and unlike last year, this year we unlocked all the games. Everything was on the table, including the new stuff. That's right, Mario Tennis Fever was on the table. So let's list them off. I'm going to ask each of you, start with Mitchell. Mitchell, what were your 5 games that you drafted? Do you have them in front of you?
I do. So my 5 games were, for the San Diego Padres, Donkey Kong, Bonanza, Yooka-Laylee, and the Impossible Lair, Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Donkey Kong Country.
The Donkey Kong Country, just the one.
Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
Hyle, my friend, what were your games?
Okay, well, I voted for Donkey Kong Country 2, Banjo-Tooie, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Mario Kart
Should have
World,
called it that.
Mario Kart World, and Viva Pinata, Trouble in Paradise.
Twapical.
And Tawapical. And the Miami Sound Machine, which is me, I got Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Donkey Kong Country 3, and Donkey Kong 64. Now, I think maybe the both of you just looked at these results, but I have not.
I did not. I did not.
You didn't. You
took
you
screen
sent
grabs,
it to me, but you didn't look.
but I looked
Okay,
away.
all right.
Yeah.
You looked away. Well, let's just pretend none of us know it. I do not know it. Cool. So let's talk about it. We got these games. Now, in the first draft 2 years ago, Mitchell got Smash Ultimate, Hyle got Country 2, and then I, in a 1-2 boom bang flash, I was like Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing, and everybody flipped the hell out. They went nuts. You got those two? I was like, yeah, because you guys didn't. Like, you left them, so I did. And everyone was mad, and they said, going third is such a cheat. And I'm like, well, I don't know. So 2 years later, you have the opportunity to do anything you want differently. and Mitchell smartly says, I'm going to get Donkey Kong Bonanza. That is so new. I was like, it is new. That's true. Hyle, on the flip side, Donkey Kong Country 2. Again, it's fine. That's cool.
Oh, okay,
I
but
was
if-
like, look at me.
yeah.
I could get Banjo-Kazooie and Diddy Kong Racing in the first round again. So I did.
I was so salty that Mitchell got Donkey Kong Bonanza. I knew he would. I knew whoever's going to go first would get Donkey Kong Bonanza, but then I had to self-soothe myself with Donkey Kong Country 2. So,
Well, I almost didn't, to be honest. Yeah, because I was trying to figure out, like, my big game plan, and I really had the opportunity to try anything I wanted to do to reach this goal, because Jeff allowed me to pick where I wanted to go in the bracket, or in the draft order, I should say. My game plan was recognizing that Banjo-Kazooie, Tooie, and Bonanza are the triplicate kings on this chessboard. They are the most important thing. And looking at only Donkey Kong Bonanza might preclude you from the opportunity to get 2 out of the 3 of them if you play it correctly. So I was trying to think, like, is there possibly a way to go about doing this where I can get 2 of those 3 instead of everyone getting 1 of those 3? And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to do it. I gamed it out 1,000 different ways in my head, and I couldn't figure it out, so I just said, okay, fuck it. Let me go first, and I'll pick Bonanza, which I believe to be the most important of those triplicate kings on the chessboard. But, man, if there was a way, I think that would have really been the whole ball game. I think that would have been everything.
Well, we've seen now in execution there was a way, because when it came to me, I could have gotten 2 out of those 3 things you said.
You should have.
But so you got Bonanza, Hyle got Country 2, and you believe then my move should have been right then get Kazooie and Tooie, 1-2 snap, boom bang. I think
Frankly,
you
yeah,
might.
I think so.
I wonder if and again, I haven't looked at the results. I think having one of those 3 is important, but I wonder if having Kazooie and Tooie helps anybody.
that's overkill.
It might be.
I don't think so.
The Banjo fans are. I wonder if Banjo fans are already happy with that list. If I have one of the 2, and having both doesn't appeal to any non-Banjo fans. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thought there would be that it's your first 2, but then the entire other 3,
Yeah.
you pick a lot more variety.
I think
you try to get it.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if having both of those would really boost my list a ton, but it certainly would have hurt. It would have hurt the list of the person who didn't get any of the 3, right? That would have been big, I think.
Yeah, like if you can... The thing is, if you can play against only one of the people in the draft and you don't need to worry about the third person in the draft, you can get a little bit more strategic about it as well. Not to say that if one of the three of us didn't get one of those three, Kazooie, Tooie, or Bonanza, you could just count them out, but like you could almost count them out. I really think they're kind of dead in the water without one of those three. Unless they have like DKC 2 and Tropical Freeze together, that's something. But
on that note of the plan or the idea to get 2 out of 3, let me just say I had a whole flowchart of plan because I thought to myself, I do need one of those 3, but ideally I would need Bonanza or Kazooie. I put above Tooie, and I put Bonanza above Kazooie. So I had a whole flowchart. I was like, okay, if you can get Bonanza, get Bonanza. If you can't, you better get Kazooie. And if you can't get either one, which was a position I could have been in because I went third, at that point you're in trouble. And I thought, and in my flowchart, I actually put, if one player gets Bonanza and one player gets Kazooie, then probably they're not going to try to double up. So I probably can wait to get Tooie, and I could probably get it later. And as you and me, Mitchell, we've talked about it, that would have come back to hurt me because you would have doubled up as soon as you had a chance. You would have got Tooie if it was left on the board.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is what would have happened if you guys put me in that position. Mitchell gets Bonanza, Hyle gets Kazooie. I would have grabbed Diddy Kong Racing and Smash Ultimate. That was what I put in my flowchart.
Whoa, okay.
Because I thought, hey, I could get the third best 3D platformer now, or it'll probably be there later, and I'll get the best kart racer and the best Smash Brothers now. And that was my thought process. So then Mitchell would have stole Tooie. It would have come back to me, and I would have been out of the game probably. I would have been really dead in the water. But as it stands, I did get Banjo-Kazooie, which I think was a huge piece of my list. And I have no idea how well I performed, but I think that if I didn't have Banjo-Kazooie, I would have been done.
Yeah, because I wonder how much weight Diddy Kong Racing carries with our audience, given that it's a game that hasn't been legally accessible to any subsequent generations.
I wonder if we overemphasize Diddy Kong Racing. That's another thought I had. But you're right. If it was more accessible and people were playing it more often, and it would be one of the things you could check out, like, oh, you liked Bonanza? Well, if you have a Switch 2, go on the NSO thing and play Diddy Kong Racing right now. If that was possible, maybe. But yeah, it is. I think for a lot of people, my guess at least is that Diddy Kong Racing is a lot closer to the best Mario Karts than it is to the 3D platformers. That it's sort of straddling the line between.
My theory when picking it, and a big part of my push this year, and you'll see it by looking at my, especially the back half of my list. My theory coming into this draft was maybe we have overestimated wanting variety compared to just the sheer value of every single big name game that was developed by Rare in the 90s for the DKU. And so I thought, I could go for variety. I could get another franchise in there. I could get another genre in there. I could go for, a different style of game. But in the first draft 2 years ago, none of us drafted Donkey Kong Country 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are we just sitting on a gold mine? Maybe not. Maybe our voters understand that maybe that game isn't as big a name as the first two. Or maybe they really love it. Like maybe being a platformer by Rare in the 90s. And I picked Donkey Kong 64 as well, which also did not get picked 2 years ago. And I think that we, all three of us, intellectually have a sort of disappreciation for that game as a critical point of view. But I wonder if the nostalgia for being a mainline rare platformer from the 90s, if that actually holds more weight than like getting Viva Pinata or like a Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have not looked at the results, but that was my theory this year, and that's how I made my list. And Diddy Kong Racing is part of that as well.
Yeah, and I think like I've played Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise, and I know it's going to bite me in the ass because for as much as you all get on me, Hyle, you need to incorporate Viva Pinata more. You need to incorporate Viva Pinata more. And I agree, and we're going to be covering its 20th anniversary this autumn. But it's still a rare game from the Xbox, or in this case, Xbox 360 era. And does that hold as much weight? Does that have the sway on our audience as those N64 or even Super Nintendo games do? I don't know.
Well, you know what was interesting is that by the time we got to the end of the draft, Jeff, instead of picking Conquer, you picked Donkey Kong 64, and I kind of expected Conquer there because of how we drafted some Conquer levels and drafted no Donkey Kong 64 levels.
Yes, but Donkey Kong 64... it's having a bit of a moment, Mitchell, because I think Bonanza, while Bonanza does do 3D Donkey Kong so much better than Donkey Kong 64, it also isn't dismissive of DK64, and it honors it and kind of pulls up elements of its legacy. And so, you know, Jeff did not get Bonanza. I couldn't get Bonanza, but Jeff could draft Donkey Kong 64, and that is a 3D Donkey Kong platformer when 3D Donkey Kong platformers have never been hotter.
Well, thank you for pitching my case, Hyle. But I think, Mitchell, what's interesting, it is interesting to look at a world versus a whole package, because you did talk about how a lot of the Tooie worlds are part of like, hey, as a whole package, it's amazing, but if you just look at just the one world, it maybe does it a disservice, and maybe the whole package is better. And I wonder if Bad Fur Day might be the opposite, where Bad Fur Day is a game with good moments or really memorable moments, and the whole package is a little bit soured overall. And so maybe that's why I liked Spooky. I think Spooky has the vibes. Donkey Kong 64 is not a game that I think has great moments or a great overall package. However, I think that
the cartridge is yellow.
I went with the Bonanza bump. I went with the notion. I do think there are fans, a lot of fans, who their Donkey Kong that they grew up with is Donkey Kong 64, and it's not my Donkey Kong, but it's a rare platformer from the 90s. And I also wonder a lot about, again, the hate vote. And is Bad Fur Day as an overall game going to get more hate votes than DK64? The answer is I have no fucking clue. I'm not sure what people think. I don't know if I have my finger on the pulse at all. But I think that there's a lot of people who feel good about DK64. There's a lot of people that maybe feel really hateful bad about Bad Fur Day.
They just can't abide that pissing squirrel, and it really does make all the difference.
And, you know, we are now 2 years removed from a draft that had Sea of Thieves, it had Grabbed by the Ghoulies, Minecraft, Sonic and Sega Racing. I have also been operating on the theory, and you know, we've all adjusted our strategies. We've all thought about maybe we can get a little too esoteric, and maybe we need to play more broadly. And I think that all three of our lists reflect that. There's some really solid, all very broad picks here. I don't think anyone has a pick that's going to strongly alienate anybody. But, you know, also just a passage of time. I wonder if like mid-2000s, 2010s stuff, you know, DK Vine as a website and a community and a creative entity, we're kind of stuck in a holding pattern for a long time where what the DK Vine community is defined by, what we're covering forever, is we're covering Sea of Thieves, we're covering Platonic. We're covering Smash Ultimate and whatever is going on with that. And like the modern retro style of Donkey Kong, but like there's nothing coming out of it. We have a theme park, maybe. We have a movie. Who knows what's going to happen? But like we're in this holding pattern. All of that shit comes from like 2019. We're like 7 or 8 years past that. Sea of Thieves' moment, I think, is done. I think that Yooka-Laylee and Platonic is done. And I think that they don't have the cultural staying power. They are not modern classics that are going to cement into the DNA of the Donkey Kong fandom. They'll always be carried by us because we always carry the torch of the unsung things. But I think that in 2026, when you're 8 years removed from Sea of Thieves, you're 8 years removed from Yooka-Laylee, 9 years, whatever, we're getting past this whatever Renaissance idea. And I think the community might have just reverted back to, we like the 90s rare stuff, and we like a couple of modern classics. We like Tropical Freeze and Smash Ultimate and Donkey Kong Bonanza. And this is my theory that I'm working with. I could be wrong, and we're going to find out. But I think that anything that released in the 2010s, other than like Tropical Freeze and Smash Ultimate, is pretty much irrelevant. If it didn't instantly become a modern classic, then it has a half-life, and we're going on a decade of that half-life chopping at half, and the moment's passed.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, so I was looking for a spice pick for my list. I didn't really get one. Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair is like a medium spice pick, I guess. Jeff, I think you straight up didn't get one. Like your list is just very strong, and it's the games I would have expected to see. Donkey Kong 64 is maybe a surprise that it was gone for, but not like out of left field. Hyle, you did get a spice pick in Viva Pinata. That's cool. The one I was thinking about was Ghoulies, where Ghoulies is in this other situation to like the dichotomy between the classics and the Renaissance potentials that you're talking about here, Jeff, where Ghoulies is a game that's like, it kind of feels more like classic Rare now with the power of retrospect, now that we're not like linking it to the buyout as much mentally. And if you've played it and you've really put time into it and you've played through it, you're probably going to like it as a game more than things like Donkey Kong 64 or Conker's Bad Fur Day. But like it clearly is not as popular as a brand. So I don't know. Maybe that really just comes down to the fact that like if only 30 something people are voting on our polls for this draft, maybe we can like door to door campaign. Maybe it's not unworth it to just like say like, okay, if there's 36 people voting, what's your favorite game? Is it Dunk Dunk? Okay, we'll do Dunk Dunk, you know.
Dunk Dunk would have been a spicy pick.
And that brings, another one that got voted on 2 years ago, it got drafted 2 years ago, did not get this time, Star Fox Adventures. And I think it's right in that zone of like, you could be one of the classics from that like golden age of Rare, or there's a couple modern games that have passed the snuff to get on that level. And I think everything else is maybe either too divisive or just forgotten. And there is a small portion of, I think, the kind of quirky stuff that is growing in appreciation, maybe because of the podcast and because of the meme quality. But I think something like Ghoulies and something like the Game Boy Advance games, those things might be gaining appreciation over time. But on average, I think everything between Bad Fur Day up until like Tropical Freeze, every game in that entire release is losing fans over time. I think like Star Fox Adventures has less relevance now to
I wouldn't say that
people,
though. I wouldn't say that though,
to
Jeff.
people.
I think Star
No,
Fox
I think people
Adventures
don't care
is.
about
I think
that
it's.
game.
I think I would say it.
No, I think
I
Star
think I would
Fox
say it.
Adventures is about to
I think-
kick off a whole new chapter.
It could. Okay, you maybe about to, maybe, but I'm just saying that I think right now, Star Fox Adventures compared to 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I don't think Star Fox Adventures is on anybody's radar. I don't think that Cameo or, even Yooka-Laylee it has pretty much dropped off. I don't think any of that stuff in the middle matters. But I think that stuff that Rare did when they were with Nintendo, I think that matters. And I think maybe, I don't know, Tropical Freeze and Bonanza, and then like Smash Ultimate. That's all that matters. Let me ask you one thing before we get to the results. You guys fought over which Mario Kart to get. What do we think about that?
Yeah, so I believe I had the choice, right? First?
You got first pick.
Yeah. So this is the one pick that in my entire 2-draft experience this year, I was a little disingenuous about. And I tried to be less disingenuous in general, because I drafted Conquer's Bad Fur Day last time, and I think the karma of people maybe being able to suss out that I wasn't being for real about it, because I don't like that game, to be honest. I think it came back to me and it bit me in a bad way. So I wanted to mostly just draft things that are my real opinion, not get into the weeds too much of what I think the patrons are going to vote. This is the exception to that, where I actually prefer Mario Kart World. And
Really?
Yeah, I do.
I'm shocked. I thought Mario Kart 8 was a Mitchell game.
No.
Oh.
I think that the Mario Kart World versus Mario Kart 8 is the same conversation to me as Smash Melee versus Smash Ultimate, where Melee and World have less content but play better. And Mario Kart 8 and Smash Ultimate are like if you're coming to us to have a big smorgasbord kind of game, here's everything you could ask for. 8 has Diddy Kong, and that matters for this group. And it has all the other things you can need. It's got 1,000 different tracks. It's got a Zelda track that doesn't feel like it should be there, but maybe it's fun. I don't know. And World is like, we're going back to just Mario and Mario's immediate family and friends. We're going back to just focusing on a smaller group of tracks. We're focusing on there's a huge increase in the complexity of what it's like to drive in Mario Kart World that I actually really like. It feels like if the more you play Mario Kart World, the more you actually get better at it, rather than just keep getting lucky or unlucky with your driving. Luck is still a big part of it. But no, I like Mario Kart World, and the open world stuff is completely undercooked, like in a bad way, and I really wish they figured out what they wanted to do with it. But there is a feeling of zen of just turning on Mario Kart World and just sort of sitting back with a cider and just going.
I do like cider.
It's weird. I didn't think I would like that, but I meditate. I get into a meditative trance real quickly with Mario Kart World's open world thing.
Yeah.
I like it more.
I do wish Mario Kart World had Diddy Kong in it. I do wish that, but it's more my cup of tea. It's more my bottle of cider, where, I just like going on a little road trip. I wish there was a radio like in Grand Theft Auto, I want to listen to some Gloria Estefan.
That would be,
Yeah, but I think
even just to pick out of the songs that are in the game already would have been cool.
There's some pretty good
Just like a
remixes
song
in there.
picker.
And they also have Wario songs and Donkey Kong songs, and they don't just stick with the Mario beep boops.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to play as Diddy Kong too, but
I got Diddy Kong
I would
Racing.
like to play as Ludwig von Koopa. I like that one, and 8 lets you do it. And I know that a lot of people have been less hot on Mario Kart World than I have, and to be honest, I just don't care about Mario Kart as a franchise as much.
Same.
As I think the average Nintendo fan does.
Same.
So when Mario Kart is a step down in terms of content, but is doing some interesting new thing, I respond to that more than if it launched as like 8-2, which I think some people wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So
I will say
I picked 8 to appeal to the masses, but I like World.
And I stuck by World because Mario Kart World is the first time I feel like Mario Kart is actually trying to do something other than rest on its laurels and sell itself with its brand name. And that might be controversial, but I don't care. I think Mario Kart has been coasting ever since Diddy Kong Racing showed it up, and it just doesn't care. It did something interesting in Double Dash, and then I was like, okay, well, we're not going to do that again. And I don't even like Double Dash all that much.
Well, I will say I had written down in my flowchart of choices, I thought Diddy Kong Racing was the kart racer to get, only because it gives you a kart racer, but it also appeals to some of that core 90s Rare fan, Donkey Kong core fan, whatever you want to call it. So that's what I went for that early, because I felt, even compared to the draft 2 years ago when you had a choice of Diddy Kong Racing or Mario Kart 8, and after that I felt there was a big drop off. It turned out neither of you got Mario Kart 8, but Mitchell got Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing with Banjo-Kazooie. I felt like Diddy Kong Racing was like the best kart racer that year, 2 years ago. This year, they add a new Mario Kart in there. And to me, it adds in confusion about what is the best Mario Kart. And to me, that only actually made the choice to pick Diddy Kong Racing easier.
Yeah.
It made it more prominent for me to want Diddy Kong Racing, because then I feel like if you get one or the other Mario Kart, you're just in the sort of like, do they tie? Do they cancel each other out? Is there confusion about what's better? So I actually even wrote down, like, if I don't get Diddy Kong Racing, don't even worry about Mario Kart until the like 5th round. And like, it doesn't matter if I got Mario Kart 8 or if I got Mario Kart World, as long as I got one or the other and I'm not the only guy who got neither or Diddy Kong Racing. Like if someone got Diddy Kong Racing and someone else got Mario Kart 8, then at that point I do have to end up with World, or else I'm getting canceled out of a tie. But it does feel like getting it just gets you into a tie a little bit. I don't know. It was a low priority for me.
I had written down ahead of time a few rules for myself, and the rules were, if I don't get Bonanza or Tooie or Kazooie, one of those three, I lose. If I don't get Diddy Kong Racing or Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart World, I lose. If I don't get Melee or Ultimate, I lose. If I don't get a rare developed DKC, I lose. And I put Tropical Freeze and Impossible Lair on like a similar kind of a little less important in terms of priority, but like a similar thing of like, I want Impossible Lair or Tropical Freeze. I really set up the slots for what I wanted to get before I even started. And that made it a kind of a boring list, but I think we all sort of did that. Like, we all sort of went for those kinds of slots.
Yeah, I stayed away from heart picks this year, so no Ghoulies, no Star Fox Adventures.
No Star Fox Adventures, no Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking similar, but my list, what it's lacking is, I was thinking about balancing modern and classic, and I thought to myself, like, if I get Bonanza as my 3D platformer, then I need a classic rare DKC trilogy. Like, I need one of those three. And then I thought, if I get Kazooie as my 3D platformer, then maybe I need a modern DKC to balance it out. And just by the luck of like the turn of things, I couldn't get Tropical Freeze and I couldn't get Impossible Lair, although I was kind of shying away from anything Platonic. And so I was left with the option to get Donkey Kong Country Returns. And I think I just gave up. Like, I think Returns almost calls into question too much direct comparison to Tropical Freeze. For me, it does. I think that if one list has Returns and one list has Tropical Freeze, I just see the Returns inclusion as a detriment more than a gain. And so I went with Classics. After that, I was like, whatever. Let's just get classics.
I know
And
I'm
so
on
I
my
got
own on this,
Country
but if I
3
was
and-
given Returns 64 or Jungle Beat to pick from through a list like this, I know that 64 is kind of like it's going to just look like either Bonanza or Banjo-Kazooie in a negative way,
That's
and
true.
Returns is going to
Yeah.
look like Tropical Freeze or Impossible Lair in a negative way. I might go with Jungle Beat. I don't know, but I know other people don't like Jungle Beat, so that
Well-
it's a rough. I don't know.
That's interesting. I mean, it's hard to know, and I don't know the results. So I think, are we pretty much talked out on the thoughts?
Yeah, I will say,
Yeah.
the only other thing I'll say, because I want to point this out, it's interesting, we each had a classic Donkey Kong Country game from the original trilogy. And then, like, Mitchell and I had kind of a modern Donkey Kong Country style game. I had Tropical Freeze, he had Impossible Lair. And those are like a pair, those two, right? Because there is that debate, which one is better, which one do you prefer? And I like that, you know, there is that kind of dialogue. And I know Returns is kind of valued more now than it had been since Tropical Freeze came out, because Returns HD and now the Dixie Kong inclusion. But I think we all played it, like, we all have a big 3D platformer on there out of like the 4 we were discussing, or the 3 we were discussing, the Kazooies and Bonanza. And yeah, I don't know, like, it's remarkably like similar, these lists. We each have a racing game, and the only like variance really is Jeff has Donkey Kong 64 on there, which is kind of
Well, so Hyle, I doubled up on 3D platformers.
yeah.
While the two of you doubled up on 2D platformers. Meanwhile, Mitchell and I both got Smash Brothers games, but you got a Viva Pinata. So there is a little variation.
I think that's more of a heart pick because, I got to get another Rare game in there, and I want to champion Rare from the era where a lot of the hardcore Nintendo zealots don't talk about because it's not Nintendo. So, yeah,
Well, I don't know. Because, like, if you did get a Smash Brothers instead of Viva Pinata, Hyle, it would have to be 64, Brawl, or 3DS or Wii U.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah,
No,
I think that's like picking Returns instead of Tropical Freeze or Impossible Lair. Like, it's in that group with Tropical Freeze and Impossible Lair, but it matches up negatively to both of those.
Yeah.
Quite
instantly
obviously.
maybe
So
makes
you're not going to pick Brawl.
have a negative detriment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Okay, I feel good now. Thank you.
Well, I don't feel good because I think I lost, but let's find out. Here we go with the final results. This has been fun. It's year 3 of this, and I'm excited. I hope we do it for at least one more year. We'll find out. But,
At least one.
at least we'll find out how many. I don't know. But here we go. So we already saw the percentages of the first vote. I will repeat them real quick with the Worlds draft. That Jeff, I only got 25% of Worlds. Mitchell got 36 and Hyle got 39. We will be combining those percentages with the following percentages of the other draft to get a total score, along with bonus points, which this year are 0 because I forgot to make a trivia game. So the results of the DKU Games draft for 2026 are as follows. I'm Harveying the envelope. With third place, 21% of the vote
Ooh.
are the Amster Goddams.
No! No!
21.
Oh, that's rough.
The Viva Pinata? I don't know. Okay, so then
Yeah, it's Viva Pinata killed
with-
me.
so with matching his score in the other draft, 36 again. Mitchell, the San Diego Padres, gets 36 for a total between the two of 72. Hyle's total will be 60?
60? No.
21 and 39 is 60?
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
calm down.
And 30 yeah,
that
36
math?
and 36 is 72. So Hyle got 60 and Mitchell got 72. I did get the most in that second draft. I got 42.
Nice,
The
good job.
Miami Sound Machines. 42 plus 25 is only 67. Hey,
Hey!
a thing.
See,
Hey.
we know
but
what they like.
It does mean that the winner of the 2026 DKU draft is Mitchell with the San Diego Padres.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it.
A consistent second place in both drafts of 36% on each will give him the overall win at a total of 72 to my 67 to Hyle's 60.
God.
Oh, are you guys sad? Sorry, I can turn it down.
I should have got bonus points. What if we had done bonus points? I should have got some.
God. So Mitchell
It's fine.
won just by going straight down the middle. By being a centrist, Mitchell beat us both.
Second place.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do that
okay.
in both drafts. I only did that on levels.
Well, you got second place in both drafts and 36%.
Oh, that's what you
drafts.
mean. Yes. No, I did really well by doing that.
Yes.
It
And for
turns
some
out.
reason, there were 3 people who voted for Worlds, but they did not vote for games because they were just so torn. They said, I'm going to vote for the only one that has a Donkey Kong Country trilogy. And then they looked and all 3 of us had it. And they're like, oh, shit.
I'm looking through the comments to see if there's any rationale. Yeah, behind how people voted. Let's see. We got Josh from the Geek Critique, and
what?
Josh describes that he scored each game that we had drafted from 1 to 5, and then totaled them. And Hyle got the lowest score there because Josh had not played Trouble in Paradise and couldn't score it.
All right. I'm never talking about Viva Pinata again. It's done. We're no spotlight this November.
I don't think Josh, by the way, buddy, your rationale, your methodology is messed up. You should take the score of each one, add it up and average it, and then if you can't include Viva Pinata, don't give it a score, but average the other 4. Don't hurt.
Well, I think you should still prioritize 5 things you love versus 4 things you love and 1 you don't know about.
I mean, sure, but like maybe there's a way to do that where it hurts the score some. Like maybe it just has to score an average 3 out of 5.
Do they not know the pinatas have like fun portmanteaus of candy and an animal?
Quackberry. Moozapan.
Oh, it was Brian Schaffler who said the thing about maybe we were
overestimating Bonanza.
Yeah. So hats off to Brian Schaffler, who says, I honestly had to ignore all Bonanza stuff as I've never played it and don't intend to. Not sure if I'm the odd one out there, making Bonanza lucrative for this audience, or if it's actually a dangerous thing to bank on as many people still might not have a Switch to. That's a good point. I don't know if it mattered in the end. I got middle on both. So
well, I will say that in all 3 of our drafts, in the 3 years that we've done this, I have won the draft that's about the games. All 3 times I won the draft that was about the games. The first year I got 50%. And the second year, I got 49%. And the third year, I got 42%. But I've never failed on the games. It's when we include this other bullshit that maybe people will like Spooky. Do people like Spooky? And then I lose. But it's fine. It's fine.
You voted for Diddy Kong Racing the first year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
I drafted it.
I think Diddy Kong Racing still holds a lot of sway over our audience.
Right.
I think all the disparagement that was had about Diddy Kong Racing earlier, throw it out the window, it's still king.
Well,
Fujiro says tight race, but I got to give it to Jeff because of Banjo-Kazooie and Diddy Kong Racing being a strong combo.
Well, twice you guys have let me. I go third, meaning I get what's left. And you guys just leave it.
I wonder if Donkey Kong Country 2 is just a boring, safe choice, and I should never vote for it.
It is. It's not boring, but my theory is that Donkey Kong Country 2 is a great choice, but there's a lot of equivalent picks that like satisfy its thing.
It's pirates and the spider with the sneakers.
Like if you had taken Banjo-Kazooie there I still would not. And by the way, I told you this 2 years ago, but I'm going to tell you again. If you had taken Banjo-Kazooie there, I would have picked 2 games that are also not Donkey Kong Country 2, and it would have come back to you, and you would have still got Donkey Kong Country 2. But you would have denied me Banjo-Kazooie, and that was true 2 years ago. It is still true now. I am not going to pick Donkey Kong Country 2 in the first round anytime, but you keep trying to hold on to it like it's the most sacred jewel.
It's my precious. It's my ring.
Yeah, I think
I would have lost this. I would have lost that if you didn't give me Banjo-Kazooie. So anyway.
If you kind of like compartmentalize all the slots that we've decided are important, in no particular order, 3D platformer, 2D platformer, racing game, which is really just either Diddy Kong Racing or one of the 2 Mario Karts that we like, and Smash Brothers. And then like the 5th thing gets to be either a repeat of one of those 4 categories or a heart pick. And I think that kind of is just the formula that we've landed on for variety and for just, this is the shape of our fandom. This is what we have to do. But maybe we got to do what that other guy said and just do Kazooie, Tooie, Donkey Kong 64, Yooka-Laylee, Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Look at my list, man. I got Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing, Donkey Kong Country 3, and Donkey Kong 64. That's 4 rare Nintendo core games. And then I got Smash Ultimate, which has all those guys in it. It has all the guys from those games in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That is actually where I lost to you. I think that's a great point, because one of the things I had written down before we drafted and I couldn't hold to it was that I need at least 3 games on my draft to be actually developed by Rare, because I think that's gotten me in trouble in the past too. But then I couldn't do it. No matter how I rationalized it out, like by the time I was drafting, DKC2 and Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie and Diddy Kong Racing were all taken, and I only had Donkey Kong Bonanza on my list so far, so I knew like I wanted the 2D platformer, but I thought the best remaining 2D platformer was Impossible Lair, and then Mario Kart and Smash are also not by Rare.
I think Impossible Lair is a heart pick. I think we champion it because it is criminally overlooked, but I think that's where you get in trouble with the draft.
You could have stolen.
Maybe
you could have gotten. I mean, it's hard to say what exactly got the votes to go where, but maybe if Impossible Lair was either Country 3 or 64, like another rare Donkey Kong game, you got Country 1, but you could, if you had gotten 2 out of those 3, I don't know. But we're acting like you
Country 3
lost.
is over Impossible Lair for patrons?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think Country,
okay, I wouldn't
and
have
you know
known that.
what? Earlier this year on the Patreon only Other Voices episode, we did a ranking of the top 26 Donkey Kong universe games of all time, and it is official. And on that list, Dustin and I surprised Mitchell by revealing that Donkey Kong Country 3 is actually pretty high up on the official list.
It's definitely loved by the fandom. I think like there's this critical perception of it that kind of dismisses or overlooks it, but the like dyed in the wool Donkey Kong and DKU fans, we adore DKC3.
Well, and can I just say, we talk about all these choices I made that were apparently so smart. We talk about as if I won. I did not win. Mitchell,
Mitchell
you
won.
are the champion of the year, the belle of the ball, the king of the castle. Congratulations. It's just you, by being a very respectable, consistent score across both lists, you are the winner, the champion. So, congrats.
Okay, so when do we move into trades? Because I was thinking, who wants... Hyle, would you like to trade Tropical Freeze for the Freezer Lair?
I've already started drinking, so I'm useless at this point.
Hyle thinks when you say the trades, he thinks you're talking about magazines.
I thought this year I had a shot. And
I thought I fully didn't.
I ran too hot and cold. I came in guns blazing with a 3D World Draft, and then I tripped over my own dick with the games yet again. I don't know what the kids like anymore. 6, 7? I don't.
That's what I got for a score.
Just Andre says, well, you tripped over the pterodactyl land, Dick. I won with the worlds, though.
You won with worlds. I wonder what happened with my worlds.
I think It's War is stronger than maybe we talked about it being. It's War's pretty good.
Yeah, It's War.
It's because none of you had a Dami Mega Mommy in your worlds.
Did I pick the wrong Bonanza layers? Canyon and Planet Core? What's wrong with me?
I was wondering if Forbidden Layer is stronger than Planet Core because it also has the K. Rool moment, but there's like more ambiance.
And how many people haven't even made it to the Planet Core, you know?
But have to Forbidden Layer.
We're really spoiling the game for the patron who has not played it. Sorry.
Like, we love Feast Layer, but we have not got past it.
They say the next layer is forbidden, so I stopped.
Stay away.
I believed them. I'm sorry, I'm the asshole.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.
Dunk, 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 dunk!